This is Betty Grace. I had planned to make this the last of several videos that I will post before the election, but this is a very serious time in our country's history, and this video reflects heartfelt concerns of a very patriotic American talking about an unpatriotic American, Whiny Donnie, used car salesman Trump, who continues to be my wackadoodle of the week. Because this is so heartfelt, and I want to make sure I get my point across, I'm going to be reading this word for word. In my opinion, Whiny Donnie lacks many important qualities that are important for the president of our great country to have, but I'm only going to talk about a few of them. He lacks empathy and compassion, coupled with insensitivity and unbelievable ignorance. He is illogical and has no apparent reasoning ability. I think he lives in the twilight zone, a different kind of reality for the most of us, and I will tell you why. Whiny Donnie, used car salesman Trump, likened getting STDs in the 60s to his personal Vietnam. He said, and I quote, "It's my personal Vietnam. I feel like a great and brave soldier," unquote. He equated screwing around with the potential for getting STDs to serving his country during the Vietnam War. I am so glad most of the mothers and fathers of soldiers who served in the Vietnam War are not around to hear him utter such crass, insensitive, and just plain ignorant comments. However, I am not surprised, because Whiny Donnie has no empathy or compassion. He only cares about himself. Whiny Donnie also likens attending military school as a child. From all accounts, he was a problem child to serving in the military. He said he had, and I quote, more training militarily than a lot of guys that go into the military, unquote. Is he really that stupid and ignorant? This is as stupid as Whiny Donnie saying, again I quote, "I know more about ISIS than the generals do, believe me," unquote. Believe him? Believe a used car salesman trying to sell us a lemon? I don't think so. Whiny Donnie denied that John McCain was a war hero. Does Whiny Donnie even know what makes a war hero? He said of McCain, I quote, "He's not a war hero. He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people who weren't captured," unquote. This from a man who got deferments because of bone spurs. Bone spurs. McCain is not a hero and a war hero because he was captured. He's a war hero because of what he endured and sacrificed. He was given the chance for early release from a POW prison for propaganda purposes because his father was the commander of U.S. forces in Vietnam. He refused to be released unless all the captured fellow soldiers were also released. Does Whiny Donnie even know the events surrounding McCain's capture and captivity? What makes John McCain a true American hero is what he endured for 5 years when he did not have to. If Whiny Donnie compares getting STDs to a person's service in the Vietnam War and does not believe McCain is a war hero, I can only imagine that if he had served and been captured, what his response would have been. Whiny Donnie would have whined and whined and whined for his daddy to use his influence to get him out of the POW prison. He would not have withstood the pain or torture John McCain experienced. What an insult to veterans, soldiers, and their families everywhere, especially those who are POWs. In fact, what an insult to all patriotic Americans. Does this sleazebag have any empathy for anyone? Or any understanding of what it takes to be a soldier, much less a prisoner of war? I don't think so. As if this was not bad enough, Whiny Donnie continues with his clueless ignorance when he is given a copy of a Purple Heart from a veteran who actually earned it. For those who don't know, the Purple Heart is awarded to our soldiers who have been wounded in action, or to the families of soldiers who have died in service to our country. These are true American heroes. Whiny Donnie's reply when he was given the Purple Heart was, quote, "I always wanted to get the Purple Heart. This was much easier," unquote. Again, another example of his lack of empathy, his insensitivity, and his ignorance. Well, if he hadn't had 4 or 5 deferments, he might have won a Purple Heart. I bet you Whiny Donnie went skiing with those bone spurs. You think he might have been a draft dodger? Finally, with his attack on the Gold Star parents, Whiny Donnie clearly showed his lack of empathy, his insensitivity, and his misunderstanding of the ultimate sacrifices our soldiers and their families make. And some of y'all want him to be the commander-in-chief? After Whiny Donnie attacked the Khan family, whose son made the ultimate sacrifice, he said in an interview, again I quote, "I think I've made a lot of sacrifices. I work very, very hard. I've created thousands and thousands of jobs, tens of thousands of jobs, built great structures. I've had tremendous success. I think I've done a lot," unquote. Whiny Donnie hasn't created tens of thousands of jobs. He sent them overseas. Jobs that our returning veterans might have been eligible for. Many people have talked about his unbelievable ignorance regarding Gold Star families. It is so very hard and sad to think that Captain Khan gave his life for someone like Whiny Donnie, who continues to spew his misogynistic, racist, bigoted comments and lies throughout his campaign. I don't have words to say how insulting, ignorant, and absolutely revolting and despicable this man is. And he thinks he has what it takes to be a commander-in-chief of our great nation. I would not want my son to serve under this man. Paul Rieckhoff, the founder and CEO of Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America, a nonpartisan group with about 200,000 members, said, For anyone to compare their sacrifice to a Gold Star family member is insulting, foolish, and ignorant, especially someone who has never served himself and has no children serving. Our country has been at war for a decade and a half, and the truth is that most Americans have sacrificed nothing. Most of them are smart and grounded enough to admit it. Trump has sacrificed nothing, and he is such a small, insignificant, overgrown boy. His wife's words, who is neither smart enough nor grounded enough to admit it. I am so puzzled how patriotic Americans can vote for this unpatriotic man for president who, on a daily basis, shows his contempt for what makes our country great. And it is not him. I hope y'all have a good week and take care of each other. Bye, y'all.